What's up, everybody? Welcome back to something new. This is Nerd Rage Radio, kind of a little bit behind the scenes. I have Joe, Uncle Dolphin. You might also know him from Twitch. What's the Twitch show?
Terrible Hime.
Terrible Hime. And then we have Chris, famous from Crashbox Customs, Realm of Collectors.
Correct.
We're going to be having top 5 conversations and see how it goes. So we're doing top 5 Optimus Prime.
And this is personal top 5.
Personal top 5.
Not saying it's the definitive objective top 5 and your top 5 is different, you're trash.
Yes, except I might say that too. But it's based,
with my list you might.
it's based on whatever criteria that you want. All right, who wants to lead off?
I'll go. Number 5, late 90s cartoon series, Robots in Disguise, I believe.
Yep.
Has an Optimus Prime that has like multiple forms. That one.
The fire
truck that like was a Prime and then like the armor comes on and then he also merges with Ultra Magnus into Omega Prime.
Is that the one where the hands become the feet or the feet become the hands? Like
Yes.
Yes. I know what you're
they
talking
like shake hands
Feet?
and then the Ultra Magnus's arm comes off and like you can do exactly that with a toy. It looks exactly like the show. But I think that might have been the first show that actually had show accurate toys. And the transformation is pretty intricate and works well. I still have it. It's one of my favorite Transformers.
I don't know enough to debate it, so I'm letting it ride.
I'm gonna take it back to day one. G1 Prime.
You're going with the G1.
I'm going with G1 Prime.
So the G1 is in my list as well.
Yeah.
I put them up a little higher, but tell me what you're thinking there.
Yeah, so I mean, I can transform that right now in my head, right? For
sure.
Like I think all of us can. There's nothing to
I
it.
can do it with my body.
Right. I mean,
I think it's a dance.
it is roll your shoulders, yeah, pop your chest. No, I just have so many fond memories of that toy, man. You know, flipping it back and forth, losing the fists.
I think everybody lost a fist.
I think one of the first aftermarket parts I ever bought for Transformers was like someone made aftermarket fists that fit better and had a better hole for the guns and whatnot.
I didn't have the honor of owning one of those. I couldn't have that. So like, did the fists actually go anywhere, or did they just take them off?
You can put them in his chest.
That's right.
That's where I was.
There's no Matrix in there because it's before the Matrix.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, I lost my gun first day.
Did the gun go anywhere?
It went somewhere in my dad's car seat. And this is back in the day when you didn't have to, when there wasn't such thing as child safety, so you could just sit in a car without a seatbelt or a booster seat or anything. And I'm just sitting in my dad's, like, I don't know, the car was about as big as this room, long anyway. He was like, don't open that, you're gonna lose something. And I was like, you know, and like opened it, and then like I lost the gun immediately.
My parents had a van, right? Full-size van, carpet everywhere. I lost my Baroness gun, scoured that van. I probably spent 40 hours trying to find that gun in my youth. And when my parents sold it, I told the people, if you ever find a G.I. Joe gun in here, make sure you bring it back. But G1 Prime, the other cool thing was the trailer. The trailer was I mean, it was a base. You could put the cars and stuff in it, which was really cool at the time.
And it was one of the few where it kind of looked like both modes from the cartoon. Like it wasn't exact, but it looked pretty close.
Yeah, but we were young and dumb, and
it looked close enough as you were a kid,
for sure. Especially when compared to like Brawn or some of
the Ironhide. The ultimate.
Those were so bad. Those were so bad.
Ironhide was the worst.
The worst. Mine is MP44. I know it might seem low on the list, and maybe it's so low I didn't buy it. You know what I mean, Joe? But
the price have anything to do with it?
The price doesn't have anything to do with its placement on my list, but I do think it is the definitive G1 cartoon Prime figure. It's not what I want in my collection, but if I had to be like, look, what is the perfect representation of the cartoon Optimus Prime? It's probably 44.
Fair enough.
It might have made the list for me. What about number 4, Joseph?
Toy World Movie Prime, the new one.
Okay.
I like that thing a lot. I like the design a lot. It's like modernized G1. That thing is pretty screen accurate. Fit and finish is great, and like transforming is always a big deal to me. That's I feel like that would be the movie Prime out of all the movie Prime that exists.
What about the Challenger though?
That's higher on my list.
Fair enough.
But I mean, to the spirit of, because you know, always like the movie stuff isn't close enough to the G1, but that is their version of G1.
Fair.
So my number 4 is, I'm going in the Wayback Machine again. To me, the thing that reignited my passion for Transformers was MP01.
Yeah.
That was the first thing I remember. I pre-ordered it from BBTS, and I'm like, what was it, $100? And I'm like, oh my God, it's $100. which if you did the inflation adjustment, it's probably like $130 or something.
That's what a deluxe goes for these days.
Exactly. So obviously has its faults compared to some more modern stuff, but just to have that nice big
And the impact.
Chunky.
You know, that's another thing.
Well,
it
changed everything.
It changed everything.
If that
Forever.
wasn't there, Bobby,
there's no going back.
You'd be collecting Hummels out here or something, right? or the nesting dolls.
Yeah, or the willow tree people.
Yeah. Or
Gwyneth Paltrow's goop line.
Oh, I know you're going to edit this, so I'm going to say whatever the I want, and then you can sort through it.
Sometimes the beefs make it funnier.
What's your number 4, Bobby?
My number 4 is the Spark Toys.
Spark Toys, yes.
Man, I totally forgot about that one. That is a great toy.
It's perfect.
Was that the first one that came out?
Yes.
Like they did like Megatron and maybe Grimlock, and that's all they've ever
and
done?
I think they're the same people behind that Krang as well.
You are correct about that. Yes.
But that was a good design.
That was a good one.
It's such a
I'm
kind
mad
of
I didn't put that on my list.
obscure design, but for what it is, I think it's perfect. It's just that design isn't impactful enough for me to put it higher on the list, but I don't really have any criticisms that stand of that.
Yeah, I mean that was a good figure.
That comic was a game changer for me in terms of Transformers comic and I always remember those designs. Because like before then it was the Marvel.
Right.
And it was
which I think is goofy. I know people love it, but I can't take it seriously.
I never read it.
I can't take it seriously.
Just like Beast Wars, the story might be great, but like, I can't get over the
designs.
Right.
Yeah.
Call me shallow.
Yeah, shallow Joe. And then number 3.
A Unique Toys Challenger.
There it is. That's an awesome
I mean,
figure.
that whole line. Lockdown, right?
That's great also.
They have a few. They're all great from the movie.
And I love that it affords me the right when people say you just don't like it because you don't like the movie. I can be like, aha. I love this figure. It's great. It's painted great. It's built great. The transformation is second to none. I also, for what it's worth, I heard that it's ex-Takara guy that's behind the engineering.
It's pretty unique design.
I mean,
this guy.
It's as perfect as it can get to like those movie bots.
Much like my cat Butters, this next one's a chonky boy. It's the MAS-01 Prime, the non-transforming one that's like 2 feet tall.
Oh, yeah. So I heard that a third-party company is actually behind that as well.
Really?
Yeah.
So that's
was that over here once in one Skullfest?
Possibly.
Possibly. They have a Megatron too. They were going to do a Soundwave that never happened.
They never did anything else.
I get a mix up. There's a few big Hot Toys. That's one, right? There's a few big non-transforming Prime figures.
But this is like legit. I think it's is it 18 inches? It's huge. One guy left in my house one year after some event, and I messed with it pretty heavy. So if you want a big figure with a big presence, I think that's the one.
Yeah, no, that's a good choice and one that slipped my memory as well. 3, I'm going to go with your G1 Prime choice. There's something about being the OG, like it moves you up the list and the impact of it and the amount of memories that are tied to it. The fact that it had so much in common with the cartoon, yet the transformation was easy enough for a 5-year-old to enjoy it, but also
and a 45-year-old.
Correct. But I was going to say, but also like my father was 45 at the time and he enjoyed it. I was
going to ask you this. Did y'all's parents enjoy the engineering side of Transformers?
100%.
My dad always wanted to see, what it was and how he was fascinated by the engineering.
Well, he just liked that I wasn't just, there was something that was moving my mind around, little did he know.
I love toys and stuff, but like my parents always like never said no when I wanted Legos.
Yeah.
It was like
right. And then number 2,
Dark of the Moon Leader Class Prime.
Okay. Is this the one that people say is like impossible to transform?
Probably. It's not easy. I had to figure out what the directions, but like that changed how I saw mainline Transformers. That thing is another really well engineered, really good looking, real screen accurate thing that, like, when you watch the movies, especially the first couple ones, it's like there's no way that can turn into that.
Right.
And they did it.
Right.
For me, it was noticeable. Like when buying deluxes, like there was like slow degradation over time of the quality. But I think it was very noticeable to me, like the rise, the peak and fall of Hasbro Transformers, because that's the peak.
Right.
But the next movie's toys were smaller, simpler, and the engineering sucked. One iteration after.
Right.
This is not the same thing.
And we see that now. Like that different people take over or different budgetary restraints come in and the line changes.
Yeah, immediately,
overnight.
not gradual.
Number 2 for me, I guess if you like your Optimus Prime smooth, like a dolphin, and I know, Bobby, the one you have in your display, insert image here, is the Magic Square Prime.
Magic Square Prime. I do like
I went with that one for like the modern take.
I do like the bulk of him more than a lot of the other like cartoon options. Like it just seems a little bit more like a leader, like a general, you know. My number 2 is MP10, just because of the game changing aspect of it. Like much like the MP01, like after that release, Masterpiece was no longer the same beast anymore. You know, like it changed overnight.
Right.
It also made this model, like, because you remember MP10 and specifically the Megatron, they were transforming, but like they're not transforming in the same way that most Takara masterpieces are, where you can like sit down and do it.
Yeah,
they're like sit down and like get a protractor and a compass and like some tools and everything else. And I think that's another element that has changed. But yeah, MP10
number 1 is Generations Toys Prime.
Yeah,
Generations Toy IDW Prime.
The IDW Prime. It is a good looking figure.
It's great. It's perfect. To me, it's perfect. I still play with it and it's still fine. It's not loose or anything.
That's another one that's kind of stood the test of time.
Well, so my number 1 was your number 2. It's MP10. MP10. It was a game changer. When I got back into collecting, that was like the thing I was chasing the most. And I remember it hadn't been released in a while. They were going for about $300 on eBay, and that was what I was willing to spend. And I was able to get my hands on it. And that is actually the only survivor from my Masterpiece collection is my MP10. I didn't hesitate to pick that as my number 1.
My number 1 is the Robosen Auto Transforming Prime.
That's a good one.
I don't need it for my collection, but it's just some dreams come true. You know what I mean? Like
it kind of is.
Like you tell it to transform, and it does it right in front of your eyes, and then wishes you a happy birthday. It's like
you look so happy. That video, you became 5-year-old again. Like the whole time, just laughing.
Yeah, like I think since I was 5 years old, I've always thought to myself, man, what if it did it on its own? You know, and then it did it, and I was like,
there's only 2 things that thing doesn't do, and the other one's cook breakfast.
right. So I want to thank you guys for taking the time to do this, and for all you guys, you like this conversations like it. Tune in to Nerd Rage Radio.
Rage.
You can find it wherever your weekly or monthly podcasts are found. As far as these opinions, they're all just ours. They're subjective. You can have your own. If they differ from ours, that's fine. It's probably baseless and meritless, but it's also fine. And with that, maybe we'll do it again if you guys dig it. Take care.
Peace.